an interview for a long time of a very, very distinguished lady, Mrs. Clementine Hunter, and today is that day. It happens to be her birthday. So we're here at Tommy Whitehead's home in birthday celebration, and our guest today is Clementine Hunter, and along with her is a delightful lady who knows more about her possibly than anyone else, Dr. Mildred Bailey. Hello to both of you. We're so glad to have you with us. How does it feel to have a birthday today, Clementine? That's good. I want to ask, your name is Mildred, but since you and I have known each other all of our lives, may I please call you Dee Dee?
Please do.
I couldn't call her anything but Dee Dee Clementine. Okay, now today's your birthday. How old are you?
Well, I can't do it because I don't know.
You don't know. Well, does it feel nice to have all of these birthdays?
Oh, yes, it's really nice.
How about some of the others? Can you remember as you grew up some of your birthdays that you used to have? Did you ever feel that you'd ever get this far?
Well, you see, I never did know my age.
So
when my mother died, well, I went to get it from the church, and it was blank.
Oh.
And I got to look it up somewhere else.
We need to find out.
It's went up.
Well, I tell you, you have had such a terrific life. How long have you known Dee Dee over here?
A long time. I think she's my sister.
That's quite a compliment, Dee Dee.
We're like sisters, our bride. I love her like a sister.
Well,
We're very good friends.
I love her too.
That's great. Well, Mr. Tommy Whitehead and Dee Dee have, and Ann Britton have a tremendous collection of all of your paintings throughout the year. But first of all, Clementine, I'd kind of like to find out a little bit about you. How many children do you have?
7.
7 children. How many grandchildren?
Oh, well, I can't tell you about the grandchildren. They're everywhere.
And you even have some great-grandchildren.
Oh, great.
Oh, good grief. I can't go any further than that.
Yeah, great, because one, they called me last night, another one.
And which one is this?
That's my daughter's daughter.
Okay. Now, Dee Dee was telling me a while ago, talk to her about the one, Dee Dee, that we were talking about a few minutes ago.
About Quita.
Oh, Quita, she's so good.
Quita is your great-granddaughter. Quita belongs to Frankie,
Yeah,
who is Jackie's son, Brian.
that's right.
And she lives right next door to Clementine, and she visits all the time. What did you say that she told you yesterday?
I told her, I said, now you go home because you're too bad. I don't want you to. She turned around and shook her finger at me. She said, I'm going to my house, but I ain't coming to your house no more.
She let you know quick, didn't
Let me
she?
know, but a little while after that, she right back.
Well, let me ask you this, Clementine. You and Francois have been friends for many a year, haven't you?
Many years. I'm the one taught him how to go through the yard.
Did you really? At Melrose?
Yeah, at Melrose. Done him the yard. And after, about a year after that, he could go all about by himself.
That's because he couldn't see very
No,
well.
he couldn't see this kid, and I had to lead him everywhere, all through the yard.
You have been just great for each other. Then he, in turn, helped you to learn how to paint, right?
Well, he didn't help me learn how to paint.
Now, you already knew.
I just picked it up like this. Every little piece of board, every little piece of cardboard, and everything like that I paint on.
Tell us how you first started painting, Clementine.
On cardboard.
Where did you get the paints from, though, the first
Miss
time?
Alberta Kinsey.
And Miss Alberta Kinsey,
She
Betty, was an
in
artist.
She's in Arizona.
She's another
She's in York.
Right.
She lived in York. And she come every month and paint Magnolia. And she leave, give me my paint. I never had to get no paint.
Now, you loved the life on Melrose.
Yeah,
You loved everything about it. And that's the reason all of your paintings centered around this, right?
that's right.
Do you remember when you were painting the murals in the African house?
I remember that.
How long did it take you? You have any idea?
I have no idea how long. But it wasn't too long. But I painted over at my house. And they toured it on over there.
And then put them up. You didn't paint them in the African house.
I paint them at my house.
Right.
And then they put them up there in the African house. We have a bunch here. If we could, we might just kind of take a look around. Suppose we look up here, Clementine, and kind of give me some idea of your paintings up here. What you were doing when you painted this one on top.
So what I do, picking cotton.
You were picking cotton, okay? And then the one behind here has to be wash day.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The one right behind Dee Dee's head there. Dee Dee, what is that one?
This one right here. What? Tell us
Pregnant
about
Mary.
that. That's pregnant Mary.
Yeah.
Right. This is Mary, and what is this right here,
That's the bed,
Clementine?
that's Mary's bed.
Right, right. That's where the baby Jesus is going to be.
Yeah,
Right. And who are these two people right here?
that's it. The angels.
Why did you tell me that you always paint your angels' heads like that? Kind of
Well, you
pointed?
see, when in the wind, if you flying in the wind, that your hair gonna fly.
You mighty right it is. And that's their hair flying in the breeze like
Yeah.
that. And that's why she paints them that way, Dee.
She captures everything exactly the way she thinks, you know, which is great. Now, this one right directly behind us. Schoolhouse?
No.
No, that's not.
That's the old lady house. You see, she nursing that baby.
Yes, I see. Okay.
And
All
this
right.
her daughter.
And she has the baby bottle, with the baby bottle in her hand.
Yeah, she got the baby bottle.
You have painted a lot of zinnias, a lot of flowers like that one right back of you there. Do you like to paint those?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, Dee Dee, what about this one up here?
They look like to me they're having a party, Clementine. Tell us about that one right up above you there in the blue
This one
frame.
right here.
Oh, that's his wife. They
That's his
drinking.
wife. Okay.
They're drinking wine.
All right, and that's all of the wine and stuff over on the little
Yes.
thing.
That's my sister.
Okay, and here.
That's a wig.
That's a wake, okay? All the people sitting, and then this is the coffin, right?
Yeah.
And all the flowers and the wreaths here.
Mhm.
All right, behind me.
That's, guess what it is?
That is an excellent name for that one, Clementine. Can you get that one, or is my head in the way here? Okay. And some more zinnias over on the side, which he won't be able to catch. And of course, you have them all around. This is a marvelous collection here.
Tommy has a very large collection, Betty.
Yes, these
he
are
must,
just great.
Must have close to 100, I would guess.
Mhm.
Tommy had more than that. But
He's got a lot. He's got a lot. Clementine, you told me one time, the painting right behind Betty's head there, you told me, you know, I bought one of those from you once, and you told me that you weren't going to paint any more of those.
Well, I painted one more though.
But why did you say you weren't going to paint any
Because I
more?
just don't like it because it's too hard.
Right.
Too much trouble.
You told me it made your head sweat. Do you remember that?
My head did sweat.
Right. And you didn't want to do any more of those.
You got to know what you're doing when you do that.
Clementine, tell Betty about how you start your pictures, your paintings.
How I start?
Yeah, how you start. First you paint your background,
Oh, yeah.
and
put,
then you do what?
put my figures on.
Right.
That
With
put
what?
I want on.
Right. What do you use first, though? Don't you mark them with a pencil
Yeah,
first?
That's,
Right.
I mark them first, and then I paint.
This is one way you can always tell Betty whether or not a painting is really a Clementine Hunter.
Oh, I
Is
see.
whether you see the pencil marks under the paints, because she pencils in.
That's right. Before you paint
Before I paint.
them. Clementine, what about years that you were growing up? Do you just things that you remember about growing up, life down on Cane River, and how were things back then?
Oh, that's fine. Like it better than not.
How big was your family now? Did you have brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I had 7 in all.
7 in all.
Yeah, 5 brothers and 5 sisters.
Are any of them still alive?
No.
You're the only one left.
I got one of my sisters, yeah, living. She living in one sister
One sister
and one daughter.
and one daughter. Now, where are all the rest of your daughters and sons? You
They're
s-
all dead.
all of those are dead. Okay, okay. All right, Dee Dee, I understand that you have quite a collection yourself
Yes, I
of
do.
everything with Clementine. What are your plans for the future?
Well, right now I'm looking at houses in Natchitoches, trying to find a house that might be a suitable house to eventually have a Clementine Hunter museum or gallery, which is sort of my hobby or my dream at this point. I would like very much to take all of these paintings I have from under the beds and the closets and find a suitable place to display them, and possibly during tours and special occasions open my home to the public so that they could come in and see all of Clementine's paintings.
That would be great.
Right.
That would just be great. Clementine, you've been everywhere, haven't you? Haven't you traveled quite a bit?
No, man.
You haven't traveled a lot? You just go just close, and that's as far as you go.
And one home here.
Wonder how you're here.
You're here because it's your birthday party.
That's right.
Yeah. If it wasn't that, I'd be home.
But you know what? We sure are enjoying having you here.
Well, I'm glad to be here, too. Yeah.
Everybody has been so nice, and all of your friends are here.
Yeah.
And I think that they made you feel welcome.
I do,
And so it's neat. By way of explanation, Dee Dee, I would like for you to tell the audience your capacity at Northwestern State University.
All right. I have been at Northwestern, Betty. This is my 15th year on the faculty at Northwestern. I have been in the Department of Elementary Education, and I am presently head of the Department of Elementary Education. My area of specialty is reading, and I'm very interested in teaching as many children to read as I can, or helping as many teachers to do this.
And you've done such a good job.
Well, I enjoy what I do.
You really
it's,
do.
It's quite a challenge, and I do enjoy my work.
Clementine, did you know that Dee Dee and I went through high school together? We sure did. We sure did. We went to St. Mary's.
Right. We went through grade school. We were in the first grade together.
Oh, that was nice.
Right, right. That tells you something about our age.
Well, you see, I
We're
always...
the same age.
Except
we're both
that-
very young.
see, Dee Dee...
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but you see, Dee Dee's older than I am. She's 3 months older than I am. See, so I call her the older one. That might tell you something about us, Clementine. Okay, well, now let's go back into your times with Francois. I think that that's so interesting. Sharing, I was listening to the two of you a while ago, sharing some of your friends and some of your experiences. Do you remember those days when you were both at Melrose Plantation, Clementine?
Was your father?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. What do you remember most about that time?
Well, not nothing too much. And when we had a lot of work.
You had a lot of work.
Yeah, we did.
That was when Miss Cammy was there.
Yeah. She was kind. So I stayed there until she died.
Mm-hmm.
And was yet with Mr. Newman.
Mm-hmm.
Go see about him. See about him.
Well, now that the Historical Association has taken Melrose and taken such good care of it, and your house is being moved on Melrose Plantation, and you're now living in a trailer, right? Does it feel good to be back? Or do you miss your home, or what?
Yeah, I missed it for a while. But it was so much of water.
I
staying
know.
there. And I had got tired of the water. I couldn't, every time it rained, I couldn't get out at all. Couldn't get out.
Do you still have a lot of people who come by and visit with you, Clementine, and want you to paint and
Yeah, they
just come to
don't
see
think
you?
nothing Too much, but I was glad like it is.
She says, Betty, that not as many people come now because they don't know where she is.
That's true. Is there a way that they have some some spot there or a sign there showing where her new place is?
No, she doesn't have a sign.
I didn't put it up. I took it down and put it back up.
I think you really don't care, do you?
I don't
You
want it
sort of
up.
like it
I don't
the
want
way it is.
Yeah, just like it is.
There were so many people
Oh, I can
knocking on her
imagine.
door before, and she really had not much privacy.
No, I'm very like it is.
Betty, they moved her house yesterday, by the way.
Yesterday?
And she was there. You might want to
All right.
ask her about that.
Okay. When they moved your house, Clementine, how did you feel when you got it all settled back again?
Well, I feel all right. I feel all right. They just moved it just at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yesterday, I thought you said
Yeah, but I feel it was Friday.
Friday.
Yesterday was Saturday.
Right, right.
Well, it's Friday. They moved it Friday evening.
And then you go?
Yeah, I went, but I didn't stay until they left at the house.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go see today.
We're going, when I take Clementine home this afternoon, we're going to drive down to Melrose and see where her house was. And then we're going to drive and see if we can see where they placed it. Because she did not stay until they
They
finished.
just we stayed till they took pictures and
Right.
they left.
Do you know exactly where it's going to be on the grounds, Clementine?
Yeah, they said right, but yeah, I know right where it could
Okay. It's right where?
be. Yeah, I know about the wash house.
Over there by the wash house.
Between the wash house
Uh-huh.
and the African house.
Do you think they've done a pretty good job of fixing up everything around there, Clementine?
Yeah, they done pretty good. But what's the fun part on that?
It just doesn't have the same flavor to him, does it?
It ain't. Y'all ain't fixed it. You ain't got it. They ain't done nothing. You know, they fixed the houses and everything, but all the flowers and everything all over the yard, there ain't nothing there. Put
Well,
all of it.
well, see, they have to kind of get everything all restored with the houses and all, and get all of that fixed up, and then they'll start back in on the grounds and get them
Well, they
back.
sure got to be
Mhm.
fixed. The big house got to be fixed.
That's right. That's the next project, is getting the big house. No, no.
Got a lot of work there to do.
Got Mr. and Mrs. Hillis in there now to take care of
Nice
it.
too, that's
Very
nice
nice lady. Very nice lady.
For the two of you had dinner with us.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Let's see. We've got the Arts and Crafts Show coming up
Yeah, it's coming up.
in a couple of
When?
weeks on the 8th and 9th of April.
And then it'd be
The tour,
the two.
that's in the fall. That's in October. And you have Miss Dot Cohen. Does she come to see you a lot? She works around in the Melrose grounds a lot.
Not too much. I see her when I be there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her the other day.
Dee Dee, can you think of anything else in particular?
I was wondering if Clementine might like to tell us about picking cotton. She liked to pick cotton, and she sort of likes to tell us about how you
What
used to
cotton?
pick cotton, how much you used to pick.
300?
300 pounds a day.
Yeah, 300. Then start about, I was getting the few by 9 o'clock. Because I couldn't pick no Jew cotton, you see. 'Cause in the morning, the cotton stick on your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't pick that kind of cotton. But I may tell you all the Jew cotton, then I pick 300, sometimes 350.
That's a lot of cotton.
Yeah, my daddy would pick 400. My dad.
I don't guess that you were ever a little fat little girl, were you?
No, well, and then I get fat now.
I heard you say a while ago that you weren't going to get fat.
Sure, because I know what's that. I
No.
reckon I feel fun. Been small all of my days. 90 pounds. That's about I weighed that when I was young. 90 pounds.
You don't get any older looking, Clementine.
But I'm sure getting older.
You beginning to feel it?
Been feeling it for a good while.
Now that's the reason you gave up so much of your painting, right? You just gotten to the point where you needed to just take it a little more easy.
Yeah, I got to take it easy. My hand gets stiff and all that. But I keep working them, you know, because I got to use them.
Do you like to cook?
Well, I cook my own.
You cook all your own.
My daughter right there, but I cook myself. She said, sometimes I holler over there, I say, sometimes I hate the food with the stove. I said, you got some cornbread cooked, 'cause I like cornbread. She said, yeah, I got some, but I don't know if it's like you like it. I said, well, send it, I'll see if I like it. But they don't season like me. I love to cook my own food. But they don't season it good like I do. Look like it don't even taste like good enough for me. And they know it. But sometimes I eat it, but I don't really like it.
One of her favorite presents that I take her sometimes, Betty, are smoked pork neck bones and mustard greens or turnip greens or collard greens. She really likes that.
Yeah, I like that. I eat that every day.
Those pork buns. Mmm. Well, let me ask you this now. Whenever you paint or when you were painting, did you like to do this in the morning or at night or just any time that you felt like it?
Well, just when I feel like it. Sometime at night and sometime in the day. You know, up in the day. Now I can quit painting. I don't paint at night no more. I just paint sometime in the day.
Do you ever have any trouble with your eyes? I didn't think you did.
I paint without glasses.
You've been extremely healthy.
I've never been sick. First time I was sick, Dr. Worthy was my doctor. And that's where I go. When I get sick, I go to her office.
She's also a very good friend of yours.
Yeah, and that's a good doctor. And I've been in the bed. I thought I was going to die when I went to the hospital because that's the first time in life. But I made it over. I wasn't too sick.
How long ago was that, Clementine?
About 2-3 years ago. About 2-3 years. I wasn't sick. I hadn't, no doctor had never come look in my face. I didn't know nothing about that.
We judge that you have to be in your 90s.
Might be. I can't tell you no. Can't say no.
You know, Betty, we might explain this birthday party just a little bit. Clementine doesn't know her birthday. And about a year ago this month, Tommy Whitehead decided that because Clementine didn't know her birthday, that she had never had a birthday party. So he decided to give a birthday party for her. And it was in March last year. It's a very cold day though. And Clementine had her first birthday party. This is her second birthday party.
Sure is.
For heaven's sakes.
And Joe Henry again at one time.
Did he give a party for you one time? I didn't know about that
He
party.
gave it to him and what is right name?
I don't know.
Oh, his right name.
I don't know Mrs. Henry's
I
name.
don't either.
Juanita. Name just like Pat was.
Right.
Juanita.
Oh, okay, okay. Two more of your very close friends are Judge R.B. and Miss Ora Williams.
Yes.
Very good friends of yours. Miss Beth is here today, Miss Beth Cucci.
Yeah, that's all.
So you've had a host of them here today.
I'm glad to see him.
Dee Dee, is there anything else? We have just a couple of minutes left.
No, not really, except that we have a birthday cake in there on the dining room table that we're going to have to cut in a very few minutes, and some punch and a lot of birthday presents to open up.
Well, Clementine, what do you think of all of this?
I don't know.
Well, now you're going to get to sit down and watch yourself on television for a whole half hour.
When?
Whenever we get through, I don't know, will we be able to see this today?
Not today.
Might. we might be able to take a look at it again. He has his small monitor over there. And if not, we'll tell you when it's going to be on so that you can tell all your friends to look and watch.
Yes, I don't know if I would get it on mine.
Well, if we can't get it on your set, I'll come get you and we'll come to town and we'll see it.
Well, what station is supposed to be?
It's Channel 9.
9, right.
Channel 9.
It's a local station, WSBC TV here, Channel 9. It's our local station. And you'll get to see it, just like we are right now.
I mean, look like I could see it on my TV.
I hope so. I hope so. And Betty will let us know when, and we'll
And
try.
then you'll get to see it.
Yeah.
Well, Clementine, we're going to have to close it. We can't tell you how much we thank you for doing this with us.
Well, I'm glad to do it. Glad to do it.
And Dee Dee, thank you very much.
been
We just
my pleasure.
appreciate everything that you've done to help us get Clementine here and talking to her. And so we'll watch for you, and don't pull your microphone off yet. I'm not through with you. I'm going to let you tell everybody
Okay.
goodbye. All right, just tell them all goodbye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a delightful treat for me. I had thoroughly enjoyed being able to bring and let you share the life of Clementine Hunter and a very, very close friend of hers, Mrs. Dee Dee Bailey, or Dr. Dee Dee Bailey. And so thank you again, both of you, for being with us. And until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again, thank you for joining us.
As a child, I played along the banks of the Cane River during summer visits to my grandparents. We knew about Clementine Hunter then. My grandmother called her Miss Clemmy. She was the only artist I had ever seen in person, and she didn't resemble the great masters in my encyclopedia back home. At that time, Miss Clemmy lived on the grounds of the Melrose Plantation, and she was far from famous.
Bossier Bank and Trust Company is proud to sponsor Miss Clemmy, a KSLA special feature on the life and works of one of Louisiana's favorite artisans, Clementine Hunter, brought to you exclusively by Bossier Bank and Trust. Member.
Before it was moved to the Melrose Plantation, Clementine Hunter's house used to be right here. We'd pass along the road out there, and she would be sitting on her front porch with her paintings hanging from the trees and propped along the fences. She'd wave, and we'd wave back. At that time, her work was beginning to sell, and it was cheap, a far cry from what it sells for today. Going back even further, Miss Clemmy would give her paintings away. That was before she was encouraged to sell her artwork. Clementine Hunter's interest in art stemmed from her contacts on the Melrose Plantation where she worked. First as a field hand, picking cotton, then in the wash house, and later in the main house as a cook. It was in the main house that she had the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the most talented artists and writers of the day. Lyle Saxton, Alexander Wolcott, Alberta Kinsey, and Francois Mignon were just a few of the people who would come to Melrose to work. Melrose at that time was owned by Miss Cammie Henry, who saw the plantation as a haven for artists and writers. They could stay as long as they wanted, just as long as they were working on a creative project. Francois Mignon, who later became a good friend and mentor, came to Melrose for a 6-week visit. He remained there 32 years and wrote Plantation Memo for newspapers and periodicals throughout the South. Mignon saw talent in Miss Clemmy's crude paintings, and with the aid of Alberta Kinsey, who would provide the oil and brushes, Clementine Hunter, artist, was on her way. But there was one problem. Every artist should be able to sign her work. Miss Clemmy could not. She could not read or write. Once again, Mignon came to the rescue. He showed the budding artist how to make a C and an H on the canvas. As time would go on, Miss Clemmy would vary the signature, turning the C around so it would have its arms open out. later, the signature would change again, this time with the C on top of the H. To this day, those are the only two letters Miss Clemmy can write. Mignon continued to write weekly newspaper columns singing the praises of Clementine Hunter. Her popularity spread, and her career began to snowball. The paintings began to sell for slightly higher prices. Mignon would remain Miss Clemmy's most faithful supporter and friend until his death. Shortly before his death in 1980, Louisiana historian and writer Francois Mignon told me that he would be buried here in this mausoleum facing the Cane River and the St. Augustus Cemetery. He also told me that Louisiana painter Clementine Hunter would be buried next to him. And she will. Although Clementine holds a deep love for the Cane River area, its peacefulness and people, time and the loss of close friends like Mignon has dulled her enthusiasm. She prefers to be left alone. Going to visit her on a cold but sunny day in January, I could not help but wonder what she would be like now. I had not seen her since I was a little girl. She was not too thrilled, I must admit, about the prospects of another interview. But she did grant one for me anyway, partly because she fondly remembered my grandmother, and partly because I agreed to her request for $15 for her time. To find Clementine Hunter is not easy. The roads that lead to her home do not give a clue to the famous person that lives beyond. For that matter, offers little evidence of one of Louisiana's most prominent artists. Clementine Hunter likes it that way. The day we came to visit, she was not feeling too well. Miss Clementine, how have you been feeling?
I've been feeling pretty good, but I ain't feeling too good today.
That particular day, she was not very talkative, at least not about herself and her art. She chose instead to discuss how her little dog took to me. Candy sat on my lap the entire interview. She says he usually doesn't take to people. She also talked about how I, too, have arthritis in my hands, as she does in hers, making it sometimes impossible for her to paint. But she says she does not understand why so many people make a fuss over her. But she knows she's famous. Do you like being famous?
Yeah,
What don't you like about it?
I don't know. I just like it.
Miss Clemmy feels she has made a contribution to the Cane River community with her art, although she has no idea how many pictures she has painted along the way. She does not keep up with such things. Glancing around her small and sparsely furnished trailer, you will not find any of her artwork on display. Just mementos of a long and fruitful life. There are pictures of family and friends. Clementine Hunter has outlived 6 of her 7 children, the majority of them dying before she became famous. There are no trappings of wealth or fame. Because you are a famous artist, that you would have a big fancy house somewhere and live in a big place, that never appealed to you? Why?
It don't worry me about no big place.
Mm-hmm.
Just where I am on glad.
Are you rich now?
Rich?
Mm-hmm.
How?
From selling paintings?
Uh-uh.
No?
No. ain't thinking about it.
But
Being rich.
you're not a rich person?
No. And you're about rich.
Miss Clemmy explains that her art sells for a lot more secondhand. Others ask more for her work than she does or ever did. How would she describe her work?
I don't know how to call it nothing because I ain't know.
She may not call it anything, but there are words to describe the works of Clementine Hunter. Critics like Shreveport's Anne Wakefield often draw comparisons to the art of Clementine Hunter and another renowned primitive, Grandma Moses. Although their styles are different, both are considered primitive or naive artists.
You can define primitive artists as people with little or no art education who one day, rather late in life, pick up a brush and say, I'm going to record my experiences. And the experiences they record are usually past experiences from their childhood. The technique used is rather clumsy. For instance, they use no perspective. All the action in their painting takes place parallel to the picture plane. And a great deal of attention is paid to detail.
Detail is one thing that Miss Clemmy focused in on a lot in her earlier paintings. The wedding, for example, shows a lot of care to decorate the cake and the obvious unconcern on the face of the groom. In the painting The Funeral, Miss Clemmy included everyone from a bell ringer at the church to the grave digger at the cemetery, with lots of action in between. She also included a lot of action in her other works, like Uncle Tom's Land. Saturday Night Honky Tonk. Look at the man on the roof. Even he has a bottle in his hand. That is often the case with Miss Clemmy's work. You either love it or hate it.
I think the clumsy technique in her case is spontaneity. She brings a great deal of kind of natural sense of design to her work. In her painting The Angels, for example, those angels are just perfectly placed, and there's a lot of whimsy in her work. I think the pointy heads on the angels is just delightful. That's a delightful part of her work. Clementine Hunter's work speaks to me as a native of Louisiana, and I enjoy it for that.
Clementine Hunter has been criticized for repeating the same piece of work over and over.
The limitation of primitive art and the danger, I guess, of primitive artists is that they tend not to develop. Because they are not educated in art, they tend to hit on a certain way of painting, say, a house or a person, and then continue with that. And what happens once they've hit on that certain way of presenting images, they become repetitious. And I think this is what's happened in Clementine Hunter's work. I guess you can't blame her for doing this. If people want her work and demand more of her work, she's got just so much she can say, and so she continues to say the same thing.
Miss Clemmy's not painting as much as she used to. She has a birthday this weekend. Her birth records were destroyed in a church fire, and a baptismal record remains the only evidence to her age. You think you're 98?
Supposed to be.
Do you feel like you're 98?
Sometimes I feel like I'm more than 98.
Which you could be, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just made up of one, you know.
You could be a lot older than 98, couldn't you?
Not too much older than that.
Her age, combined with arthritis in her hands, has limited Miss Clemmy's ability to paint as much as before. Her latest work, that was on sale at Melrose Plantation for $500, shows a difference compared to previous Clementine Hunter paintings. The color and lines are not as crisp and clear, but the marking down, as she still likes to call it, has the Clementine Hunter style, only mellowed a bit. Her style can vary. Evidence of that, a book written by James Register called The Joyous Coast, a Fable, Cane River, Louisiana. The fable tells the story of Cane River ducks and other game. This book was illustrated by Clementine Hunter. She painted the Quan ducks, as they are called in Register's fable, a departure from her usual work. Although these illustrations were done early in her career and discovered many years later, they are prime examples of the artist's versatility. Although the signature on the paintings is not Miss Clemmy's, Francois Mignon signed her name for her. She was known then as Clements. Miss Clemmy realizes her art has changed somewhat, but then again, so has she. Her face is deeply etched with time, and now she looks tired.
I mean, like I was. But I ain't like that. I got to take it as it comes now.
What comes now for Miss Clemmy is still more notoriety and fame. Recently, an exhibit of her art traveled to Northville, Minnesota for a showing at St. Olaf College. As has been her tradition, Miss Clemmy stayed at home. She says she has never left the state to see her work exhibited in some of the finest art galleries in the country, or even out of the country. That kind of recognition does not impress her. As I talk to her, I quickly realize that she does not impress easily at all. I bet you met some famous people, haven't you?
A lot of them.
Who did you like the most?
I don't know, I just look at them and that's all.
It didn't impress you any?
Mm.
You're not impressed too much by anything, are you?
No.
For a woman who came from the cotton fields of a plantation, you might think all the attention paid her throughout the years would reflect in her attitude. But looking back on prior written and taped interviews with the artist reveal little about her in that respect has changed. Her natural dignity, dry wit, and short answers to questions rang out through the years. Would she do it all over again? Would Clementine Hunter mark pictures on cardboard and window shades and sell them for no more than a few dollars?
I do my thing what I do.
Would you sell your paintings for more than $2?
No.
You'd still do that? Yeah. That wasn't much money, was it?
It wasn't nothing, but I was just painting. I didn't know was it good or bad.
Despite all outward appearances of exploitation, Clementine Hunter seems a happy woman, pleased with her life and career to this point. By now she knows her work would not be in demand if it were not good, nor would she be the focus of so much attention and nationwide recognition. She has come a long way from the cotton fields where she worked as a field hand, yet she never really left it behind.
She is outside the mainstream of the art scene as it is. And so the art market probably isn't that important to her. She most likely prefers to live in her house with her name out front, her shingle out front, and continues to paint her paintings. That's what I mean about accepting primitive artists on their own terms. They come to her. She doesn't go to them.
And people do try to find Miss Clemmy despite the difficulty, making their way to her home, knocking on the door, and asking if she has art to sell. She says sometimes she tells them Clementine Hunter doesn't live there. Other times she refers them to the Melrose Plantation or art galleries in Natchitoches, depending on how she's feeling that day. Miss Clemmy is definitely far removed from the art scene. She has built a career doing just what she enjoyed doing, marking her pictures.
When the Lord gave it to me, He didn't say rich, He didn't say sell, but He just gave it to me. Because I know nothing else to do. I just picked up any little paper and mark it, make my own thing. I said, well, that's mine.
And got hers she did, and so did the lovers of primitive art. Years and years of Clementine Hunter's creations. How much longer would she like to paint?
As long as I can.
When slaves built African House on the Melrose Plantation, they had no idea the structure would one day house some of the most famous works of Clementine Hunter. Channel 12's Sylvia Rochelle reports those works, now almost 30 years old, are getting a facelift.
Francois Mignon wrote back in July of 1955, the idea of having Clementine Hunter do murals of plantation life in Louisiana came to me at dawn on May 31st. A few hours later, I had convinced her that the idea was good. The 9 panels were finished on July 21st. Those same panels are now undergoing a facelift by experts Michael Swicklick and Jay Kruger from the Kimball Art Museum in Fort Worth. The process is a long and slow one that requires much care to refinish the panels, matching paint and colors as closely as possible. These panels were commissioned for display in African House and have been exposed to years of insects and indirect elements.
It takes a while to go around and hit all these losses and cover them up adequately. The major problem on these paintings is the surface. It's difficult to really conceal the damage. I mean, when they're up on the wall, you won't notice a color difference, but you will notice a difference in the texture of the areas of loss versus the areas of undamaged paint.
Swicklick and Kruger also had to deal with the problem of uneven shellacking on the murals. Mignon writes that his help on the hanging of the paintings included a field hand who was high most of the time. So you can see those who originally hung the murals were far from experts. All this information detailing the events surrounding the eventual hanging of the paintings was chronicled by Mignon and stuck on the back of one of the murals. This letter is considered a major find. This restoration project was financed by a fan of Clementine Hunter's, Dr. Hugh Schofeister of Minnesota. The experts estimate that they have about another week's worth of work to be done, and then once again Clementine Hunter's art will be displayed in African House for all interested to see. That is, until the next time it needs to be restored.
we'll be real happy if this restoration will last 50, 75 years, a good long lifetime.
Okay. Sylvia Rochelle, Channel 12 News.
A couple of months ago, Channel 12 newswoman Sylvia Rochelle did a 30-minute documentary on Natchitoches Parish artist Clementine Hunter. The report was sponsored by the Bossier Bank and Trust Company, and it generated so much interest, the bank is now having a special showing of Hunter's paintings.
Clementine Hunter art, as distinctive as the artist, easily recognized by the subject matter, life on the plantation, marked in bold strokes of vivid color. Over 50 Clementine Hunter paintings and 14 objects of art are on display at the main office of the Bossier Bank and Trust. They are part of the Thomas Whitehead collection and a good representation of Clementine Hunter art.
You can categorize her work into still lifes, the flower scenes. Then there are 3 other areas of object. One is work, the pecan picking, the cotton picking scenes. There are scenes of recreation, you know, the fish fry, the Saturday night at the honky tonk. And then there are scenes of religion. So there's religion, work, and recreation.
The art objects on display are not seen as often or done as frequently as regular paintings.
She paints these little small things kind of as a hobby. It's something she can hold in her hand very easily and, you know, mark them.
This exhibit will be on display at Bossier Bank and Trust until May 18th. This is Sylvia Rochelle, Channel 12 News.
If you buy your car insurance in Louisiana, you may need some more.
Clementine Hunter. Her face is almost as well known as her art. She was born in 1885 on Hidden Valley Plantation along Cane River in North Louisiana. Today, 100 years and 5,000 paintings later, she's still going strong, capturing on canvas a side of Louisiana many of us have never known. Miss Hunter, whose parents were both slaves, is a prolific artist known worldwide. Her paintings depict the simple way of life she's always known, the beauty of the plantations, a lazy, hazy summer day. Down through the years, Clementine Hunter has earned the reputation as the mama of folk art.
She worked on Melrose Plantation, and in the 1940s, she was a farmhand and worked in the fields and worked and cooked in the kitchen. And Alberta Kinsey, who was a local artist from New Orleans, happened to be up at Melrose, and she was painting her pictures, and she left some of her paints one night. And Clementine found them, and she told a friend of hers who worked there as well. She says, you know, I think I could mark a picture. And he said, well, why don't you try it and see what happens? And so she worked all night long, and the next morning he woke up and she presented him with this picture. And that was the beginning. You know, from there was no turning back. So that was in the early 1940s. She's never been out of the Cane River area. She's never, to my knowledge, ever been to as far away as Alexandria or Shreveport, and certainly not New Orleans. And I think that what she is documenting in the Cane River area is not only aesthetically important, but historically important, because it is a statement of a way of life and the attitudes at the time. And it's one woman's insight, which is very valuable and will be even more so in the future.
Special graduation day. Leo, tell us more.
That's right, Ed. Listen, here we are coming to you live from the beautiful campus here at Northwestern University up in Natchitoches, where history is being made tonight, as Louisiana's celebrated artist Clementine Hunter, at 99 years old, is going to graduate college. Now, you know, it's hard to believe that from many standpoints, but when you really stop to consider it, and after spending so much time with her today, age really doesn't matter much.
It just come in my mind. If I'm sitting down there, something come in my mind, and I go mark it so I can see how it look, and then I paint it. If it look good, I'll paint it. If it don't, I ain't.
Clementine Hunter's life has always been one of color and patience and images of a simpler time. As Louisiana's premier primitive artist, Clementine Hunter has captured on canvas part of Louisiana history you'll never see in history books, yet somehow will always be etched in the memories of country folk. Now Clementine Hunter is passing another milestone. At 99 years old, she is graduating Northwestern University with a doctorate degree, albeit honorary, but graduating just the same.
I feel pretty good about this. They're making me something else. Well, I'm glad of that, because I didn't thought I could be nothing.
She says becoming Dr. Clementine Hunter won't change her much. Having lived on the earth for a full century, she has still an unconventional practical side. A couple of months ago, she made her own funeral arrangements, picked out her own coffin. Until then, the country and the Cane River are alive. We're at a reception right now honoring Clementine Hunter. And you know, folks, I just asked her a few minutes ago if she was still excited about becoming Dr. Hunter. And she said, well, honey, I never studied here, but I've been studying all my life. So that's the situation here in Natchitoches.
Very good. Leo.
Graduates from Northwestern State University had some very distinguished company in their ranks. Louisiana primitive artist Clementine Hunter was honored. Dr. Clementine Hunter was quite an accomplished lady, born in the granddaughter of a slave, one who can only make her mark, as she calls it, on her primitive artworks. Tonight in Natchitoches, Northwestern State University conferred upon the artist the honorary degree of Doctor of Fine Arts. Congratulations to Dr. Clementine Hunter.
It will be recited tonight at 7:30 at Mulhern's Chapel in Rayville. Well, what makes a legend most? Well, in the case of Clementine Hunter, it's her celebrated paintings of rural Louisiana folk life. She'd been painting for years before she was discovered, as it were, by the American art scene. Now that she's famous, TV8's Susan Allain reports the Natchitoches Parish artist is about to be honored on the occasion of her 100th birthday at historic Melrose Plantation this month.
The centennial celebration will be a fundraiser for the restoration of the cabin where Clementine lived and painted for many years. Her cabin has been moved to Melrose Plantation, and it will be converted into a museum to house Hunter paintings for permanent display.
Many years there was a question about how old Clementine Hunter was. About 4 or 5 years ago, we got tired of all these innuendos, yakety yakety yak. So finally, Dr. Mildred Bailey, who's dean of the graduate school at Northwestern, and myself, we did extensive research, and we found her baptismal record. And she was baptized in 1887, which we're a little bit ahead of time. However, the baptismal record states that she was baptized at the age of 3 months. And Clementine recollects having her birthday around Christmas. So she was actually born around December the 25th in 1886. So
also available for viewing will be the famous murals of the African House in 1955. The recently restored murals depict every aspect of Southern plantation life during the first half of the 20th century. And here in the Yucca House will hang a retrospective of Hunter's paintings. The paintings from various private collectors will display different eras of Hunter's work.
Clementine Hunter has done something that I think America and the whole world will eventually appreciate. She has documented a style of life on the rural Southern plantation in the first half of the 20th century that's disappeared. No longer is it labor-intensive, it's all mechanical. And I think for future scholars, historians, Clementine Hunter will be looked upon as more or less a social historian.
The birthday celebration is being sponsored by the Association for the Preservation of Historic Natchitoches. Tickets for the affair are $25 per person, with each guest receiving a limited edition poster specially produced for the event. In Natchitoches, Louisiana, I'm Susan Allain, TV8 News.
For many years. Robert Hicks reports.
In addition to meeting a bona fide living legend, those attending the celebration honoring Clementine Hunter's 100th birthday got a chance to view various examples of her work throughout the years, including some which have never been publicly exhibited before. The guests also saw the recently restored murals Clementine painted in 1955 depicting plantation life on the Cane River. The celebration is sponsored by the Association for the Preservation of Historic Natchitoches, and co-host Tom Whitehead says funds generated from the event will be used to restore the small cabin where Clementine lived for many years.
This is the house Clementine lived and painted in for nearly 40 years. When she moved up the river several years ago, the people that owned the house donated it to Melrose Plantation, and the house has been moved here to the grounds of the plantation, and it will be restored into a 4-room museum, which will be on her paintings and about her life.
Whitehead says the confusion as to Clementine's exact birth date has recently been resolved.
And we found her baptismal certificate. She was actually baptized in March of 1887, so we're a year early, but it said in the baptismal record that she was at the age of 2 months. And Clementine remembers as a child her birthday was celebrated around Christmas. So we presume she was born around December 1886. And basically we have always celebrated Clementine Hunter's birthday in the springtime. It's better weather. Clementine didn't like to get out in the winter when it's cold and summer's too hot, so we just have traditionally celebrated her birthday every spring, so we're continuing that tradition this year at her 100th.
Reporting from Melrose Plantation, I'm Robert Hicks, News Central 5.
She's literally been around for 100 years. Today, those who know her or her work celebrate it. Mike Kemp has a story.
Happy birthday to you.
Today was celebrated as Clementine Hunter's 100th birthday, even though no one is sure of her birth date. However, it is known through church records that she was christened as an infant in a Catholic church about 100 years ago. President Reagan believes Clementine is 100 years of age. He says so in this birthday telegram. Do you feel 100?
No.
99 maybe?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't feel it.
Clementine can't read or write, but she's one of the nation's best-known folk artists. At first glance, her paintings may look like something a child would do. Some folks describe her style as primitive, but experts say that's not what you'd call it because primitive is a studied art form, and Clementine never had any formal training. Instead, they say she would be classified more as a naive artist. Whatever you call her work, you can't exactly say it's cheap. These paintings sell for anywhere from $800 to several $1,000s a piece, depending on their age.
I've been collecting Clementine's paintings since 1963. The first one I bought was a black Jesus. It was a crucifixion. I paid $3 for it, so that gives you a little idea of why I smile about the price.
A public appearance like this is rare for this Southern artist. She tires easily and doesn't like to travel far from her home. Who's to argue with her? Her way of doing things has gotten her to her centennial celebration. In Melrose, Mike Kemp, Channel 3 News.
Mike says it cost $25 to take part in Clementine's birthday celebration. Almost $7,000 was raised through reservations for the event alone. The money will be used to restore the sharecropper's cabin where Clementine was born, the granddaughter of a slave.
Another woman connected with the same locale has probably brought more fame to the area than any other individual since the founding of the settlement of Natchitoches in 1714. Her name is Clementine Hunter, and she is a tiny black woman over 90 years of age. Most of her life was spent as a field hand on Hidden Hill and Melrose plantations. In the 1940s, she became a cook for Mrs. Henry, and it was there that she began to paint. Alberta Kinsey at Melrose to paint the magnolias threw away some twisted tubes of paint. Clementine took those and an old piece of window shade, and as she says, marked a picture. That was the beginning of a fabulous career as a painter of plantation primitives. She used pieces of cardboard, old shingles, anything she could find. Francois Mignon, then a writer in residence at Melrose, recognized her unique talent of catching on canvas, or whatever the surface, remarkably true-to-life scenes, funerals, baptizings, wash day, and pecan-picking scenes, weddings, fish fries, cotton picking, and ginning are favorite subjects. Using rather static figures, she nevertheless manages to catch simple characteristics which identify familiar figures on the plantation. Her art has captured a way of life many black people have lived in the rural South for generations. With the advent of mechanized farming and the movement of many Southern blacks to the urban center of the North after World War II, seeking jobs, the rural life of blacks has been almost completely changed in the past 35 years. Hunter, during her 90 years of life in this area, has seen this change and recalls the way of the past on canvas.
My head. In my head. Just in my mind. That's the way I paint, by my mind. Anything come in my mind, I try to paint it. Oh, it just got in my mind. I just got a piece of paper, paste bowl, mark on that. I didn't know was it right or wrong. I just painted. Every one I painted, I gave it away. I didn't keep none of it. That's the way I paint.
On the top floor of the African House at Melrose, she has painted murals that portrays the numerous activities of plantation life. Few persons have managed, like the artist Hunter, to preserve visual documentation of this past lifestyle for the heritage of black children in the future. In recent years, her paintings have been a part of several prominent traveling exhibits of Afro-American art. She's had one-woman shows at numerous galleries, a museum to house her paintings, and a library of clippings and photographs. Books about Clementine and museum catalogs of the Hunter shows is now being organized in Natchitoches. From the humble little sketches and crude oil paintings which she sold for 25 cents, the artist's canvases are in great demand and hang in museums all over the country. Her primitives have recorded a fast disappearing way of life on a southern plantation for generations to come.
In 1886, or maybe 85, depending on who you talk to, and she picked cotton on the Farm Ridge Melrose plantation nearly half her life. Tonight, meet Clementine Hunter, who lives near Natchitoches, Louisiana, on This Is Living.
I don't be thinking about nothing but my work, what I'm doing. I don't be thinking about no children, no nothing. Just like I'm sitting down here painting, I ain't thinking about nothing. I'm just painting. I don't know, but I was painting. And if I lack them, I know everybody else lack them.
She has been called one of the greatest artists living today, and at 100 years old, Clementine Hunter still takes brush in hand. Her artwork is primitive, real-life scenes depicting experiences she witnessed during her 40-odd years picking cotton on the Melrose plantation.
It just come in my mind. It just be in my mind. Just like I'm painting this year right now.
Today, Clementine still lives within throwing distance of Melrose, only this time in her own home. On the banks of the Cane River with her assortment of pets, she sits quietly and with steady hand creates another vision of the past.
Clementine Hunter did not start painting until about 1940. Up until
Tom Whitehead has known Clementine for more than 20 years and has her largest collection of paintings.
Primarily, her paintings consist of 3 different subject matters. One is work, aspects of working on the plantation. Second is recreation, having a good time, partying. And thirdly is religious aspects to her paintings.
Clementine has never learned to read or write, but she has graced magazines and newspapers throughout the world. Clementine Hunter, Louisiana artist. Now, this is living.